I'm Edward Warfield. I'm the publisher of CityBiz, and I'm honored today to interview David Savir, who is the co-founder and CEO of Element Pointe Advisors. Welcome, David.
Hi, Edwin. Thank you for having me.
Can you provide an introduction to Element Pointe Advisors, your services, your advisors, and your assets under management?
Yeah, happy to. So, Element Pointe Advisors is a wealth management and family office advisory firm. We currently oversee approximately $1.2 billion in assets under advisement. And we work with high net worth and ultra high net worth families throughout the U.S. in building their investment portfolios, helping them with financial planning, and family office services for their families.
And you launched the company about 6 years ago. Can you share some of the key milestones over those 6 years?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, I co-founded Element Pointe Advisors 6 years ago, back in March of 2016. And it's been quite a journey throughout that time. My partner and I co-founded the firm after careers at JP Morgan, and in my case, Goldman Sachs prior to that. Carlos Dominguez, the co-founder of the firm, was a JP Morgan colleague of mine and a hedge fund manager in the years prior to JP Morgan. And it's been a great 6 years. We have built the team into a team of 12 talented and dedicated professionals. We currently work with just under 50 families, and we've really continued to develop the relationships with our existing clients and new clients as well. I think for me, you touched on milestones. The biggest milestone was simply starting the firm in the first place. It was really the culmination of a lifelong dream of mine to start a business and have a firm that could be built with clients in mind and that aligned with my core values, my business partner's core values. And that was a huge moment for us, was the inception of the firm. And for us, I really measure milestones in terms of impact. And as we continue to build the team, and we're able to create career paths for individuals on our team, that was a huge milestone for us to provide those opportunities to the people who work at Element Pointe. And I can recall a number of instances within the last couple of years where clients have said to us that the impact that we've had on their lives and their families' lives has been truly significant. And for me, hearing that after several years of building the firm and building our capabilities to best serve high net worth and ultra high net worth clients, that was a tremendous moment to get that type of feedback after those years of effort.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your career experiences at Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan? And tell us about that sort of inflection point that this was the time for you to start Element Pointe Advisors.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So I had somewhat of a non-traditional path into wealth management from an education standpoint. I'm actually a lawyer by education. So I did my law degree and my MBA at the same time. And while I loved the intellectual exercise of studying the law, I knew that for me, finance and investments was more the industry that I wanted to be in. And so I was very fortunate during grad school to have the opportunity to work with Goldman Sachs in New York. And then I joined them full time after graduating from the JD MBA program, and never looked back. So from there, I really spent my career in wealth management. I graduated from graduate school just as the recession was taking hold, the Great Recession. And it was certainly an interesting time to learn the business, but I learned a tremendous amount in my years at Goldman. And in 2012, I made the decision to continue my career at JP Morgan in JP Morgan's private bank. I was very much interested in seeing the differences in the business model on the private banking side of the wealth management business. Also had a great experience, but what I really came to realize is that there were needs that the ultra high net worth clients that I was serving had that weren't necessarily best served by large banks and brokerage firms. And it's not to in any way discredit the services offered by those firms. There's many talented individuals there, but the business model is such that a lot of the independence and objectivity and access to unique and customized technology resources and customization and white glove service is a bit more complicated to deliver in such a large institution. And so for me, it was really important to be able to solve some of these challenges that the high net worth and ultra high net worth families that I worked with were expressing. And so we really set out to build Element Pointe with those goals in mind, with independence and objectivity, with technology resources that we make available to our clients that really help them to understand everything that's going on in their financial lives, and with the goal of providing a really in-depth level of customization, because many of the families that we're working with have numerous trusts and family limited partnerships and all sorts of entities within their overall ownership structure. And the more model portfolio type of approach doesn't really best serve those clients. And so that was the genesis of the firm and my career path toward establishing the firm. Somewhat unique in going from law to finance in that way, but it was for me a great decision, and hopefully my team and clients would agree as well.
And tell us about your co-founder, Carlos Dominguez, about his background and how you came together to have a shared vision for the company.
Yeah, so Carlos and I have worked together now for 10 years, going back to our time at JP Morgan, beginning in 2012. Couldn't ask for a better business partner in that his expertise is very complementary of my own. He's been a great leader of the investment side of our business, and really fortunate to have partnered with someone who I respect and trust implicitly. So Carlos's background is really more on the institutional asset management side of the business. Prior to JP Morgan, he spent 9 years as a hedge fund manager at an equity long short fund based in New York City. He had done his MBA at Stanford prior to his years at the hedge fund. And prior to Stanford, was an equity derivatives trader and market maker, initially on the Amex, which became part of the New York Stock Exchange, and then for a number of years on the Pacific Coast Options Exchange in San Francisco, as that exchange was taking shape just before the tech boom, or during the tech boom in the late 90s and early 2000s. So Carlos's experience is extremely deep on the investment side of the business. For that reason, he serves as our chief investment officer and oversees the day-to-day decisions and also the portfolio strategy decisions on the investment team. And we're very fortunate to have him as chief investment officer. And it's been a pleasure working with him over these last 10 years.
And who are the other key members of the team?
Yeah, so we're very fortunate to have an amazing team here. As I mentioned earlier, there are 12 professionals on our team. Among those professionals are 2 JDs, 4 MBAs, 2 certified financial planners, a chartered financial analyst who also holds a chartered alternative investment analyst designation. We bring together experience from a number of different firms, and just incredibly proud of the team that we've assembled. We really have sought to build career paths and opportunities for progression. Ultimately, we hope progression to partnership within our organization, and we have a number of team members who are, I would say, very much on their way there. And our investment team consists of 4 professionals, Carlos included, who are responsible for day-to-day portfolio management. 4 advisors. I would consider myself the senior most advisor within that group. We have a great client service team that is managed by John Rodriguez, who's our client service manager and an alumnus of Bank of America Merrill Lynch before he joined our firm. and an excellent chief compliance officer and general counsel who has 30 years of experience in the industry. As you can imagine, compliance is a very important part of our business. We are an SEC registered investment advisor, and so it's extremely important to us that we focus on compliance and ensure that we are taking steps to do not only what is required, but going above and beyond.
And what role does Fidelity play with Element Pointe?
Yeah, great question. So, taking a step back on a related topic, we are a multi-custodian firm. So, what that means is that our clients have the flexibility to choose the institution where their assets are held. We manage the portfolios at those institutions, but they have the flexibility to decide. So, with that in mind, we have a number of custody relationships. That's institutions that hold the assets of our clients that we manage. Fidelity being the primary one of those institutions. We also have a relationship with Schwab, and then we have a number of clients who have specified specific custodians or institutions where their assets should be held, and we can accommodate that. That's one of the really great things about our model is that we sit apart from the institution that holds the assets as an independent advisor. But you touched on Fidelity specifically, which is our longest standing custodian relationship. And they are not only a firm that safeguards our clients' assets for their benefit, but also one that we've had a great experience working with over the last 6 years. They have great technology that is available not only to our firm but to our clients as well. A service team that services our firm as well as our clients, and we've had a wonderful experience working with them over the last 6 years. And as I mentioned earlier, we also have a close relationship with Schwab, and we have assets on behalf of clients that are held at other custodians as well. And that's a huge part of an integral part of our business. One thing that really we sought to do from day one was ensure that there was a separation between the institution that held the assets in the accounts that we manage and our actual management. I think it's good to have that separation, and it also gives clients a measure of comfort that there are multiple institutions involved in the safeguarding of their assets.
And let's talk about 2022. What are your market prognostications, and how is Element Pointe responding to the challenges of the market?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So I wish I had more of an optimistic view of the markets in 2022. I must tell you that coming into the year, we were very cautious, and the reason for that was there were a number of factors. One was when we looked at the performance of markets last year, particularly the U.S. equity market. What we found is that while the S&P 500 did well, the reality was below the surface. There were a relatively small number of companies that contributed disproportionately to those gains last year. And so whenever the breadth of the market, so the number of companies that are doing extremely well is limited, that generally gives us pause because it's somewhat of a commentary on the health of the broader market and the broader economy. So going into this year against that backdrop, one of our other concerns was the fact that since 2009, or really since late 2008, monetary policy has largely been extremely accommodative, and particularly since the onset of COVID in early 2020, and the fiscal policies and the monetary policies that followed, the money supply grew very significantly. In fact, M2, which is a measure of the money supply in the U.S., went from approximately $15 trillion just before COVID started to nearly $24 trillion today, between 23 and 24 trillion. So when you think about the impact of that on asset prices, it follows that we saw what we did in the last couple of years, which is a significant increase in the value of risk assets, including stock and real estate assets, among others. And now we have kind of a reversal of that trend a bit, right? The Fed has essentially indicated that they are going to end, and in fact, this week are likely to confirm that they're ending their asset purchase program, and they'll begin to wind down gradually the size of their balance sheet. And so, against the backdrop of what we think is being relatively late in the market cycle. And the gradual contraction of the money supply, combined with some of the broader issues that are created by the ongoing situation between Russia and Ukraine, we think there are a lot of headwinds this year. So in our view, the probability of a recession in the U.S. economy in the next 12 to 24 months has gone up considerably. And we are approaching our investment strategy with a certain level of conservatism, slight overweights to our holdings of cash, and more of a defensive posture than we would have had, say, 6 or 7 months ago.
And so what are the growth plans for Element Pointe? Is it going to be organic? Are there any new locations, any RIAs that you may want to purchase? What's on the
Yeah, that's such a great question. So I think that there is a tremendous opportunity for growth for RIAs, for registered investment advisors. And I attribute that to a number of reasons. The first is just awareness. So I remember 10 years ago, the concept of an independent advisory firm was something that people within the industry were familiar with, but that clients in general weren't familiar with or hadn't necessarily heard of. That has changed so dramatically in the last decade. I think that as investors have become much more informed about the resources and options that are available to them, particularly among the high net worth and ultra high net worth segment of the market that we serve, I think there's become more and more of an interest in independent firms who can provide family office services and a family office approach to investment management. And so I'll start by saying I think that the growth opportunity for our part of the industry is tremendous. And we absolutely have plans to continue that growth. We have actually just signed a lease to increase our office footprint to help to accommodate that growth in the coming years. We're doubling the size of our office in order to help accommodate our continued hiring. And I think that there's really a tremendous growth opportunity there. With regard to acquisitions and additional offices, I can tell you that we've looked at and explored conversations about acquiring, but to be frank, I found that we have a very unique business model in the industry in that we serve a fairly high net worth or ultra high net worth clientele, and we're also a fee only firm, which means that we do no commission business whatsoever, and we don't want to. For us, that's how we align ourselves with our clients. And there's a lot of businesses out there, even in the independent space, that still do some brokerage business or insurance business, and it's a challenge to find a business that really aligns both with our business model and with the types of clients that we serve. But certainly, if we identified a candidate that met that criteria, we would have an appetite for acquisition in that scenario.
So, David, is there any part of your personal story or the Element Pointe Advisors story that you'd like to share that you haven't shared with us so far?
Wow, that's a great question and a broad one. I think the key for me is when I came into this business, I really set out to make an impact in people's lives. I alluded to that earlier, but it's always been really important to me. So many of the families that we work with they were entrepreneurial families who started businesses and sold their businesses. And that actually is really analogous to my own, to my own life. I grew up within a family business, and that family business was ultimately sold during my college years. And so I think I can relate to the challenges and the opportunities and the questions and the concerns that a lot of the families that we work with have, and the experience that they have going from, in many cases, having a business and their net worth in one illiquid operating company, and then suddenly having a liquidity event and having a real change of life and change of their liquidity picture. And so for me, it was always important to really make an impact and be able to provide a service to clients in managing their investments and managing their finances and advising them around their ownership structure and plans. And I'm really proud of what we've done here and what we continue to do. And it's really a great feeling to be able to have that level of impact. And I'll say on the team front, having that mindset, having that culture of service to our clients and focusing on the best interests of clients, it really allows us to recruit and retain like-minded professionals who are looking within their careers to make that same impact. And so I think we are able to really bring great people onto the team who have a similar focus and have similar goals and really want to strive to be an important part of their clients' lives.
Well, David, thank you for sharing your story, and we wish you the best of your luck as you move forward to 2 or 3 or 4 billion assets under management. Please keep us surprised as you progress forward. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much, Edwin. I really appreciate your having me on, and look forward to maybe doing this again sometime.